So just like a photographer would constantly adjust the lens in order to focus and get clarity in the photo, that's why I say constantly adjusting for clarity on a daily basis is a way that you can constantly adjust your lens, in a sense, to figure out, well, what is my vision for the day?
Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome back to the Daily List Report. Thank you all so much for your support and for being a part of this amazing channel. Please consider sharing this content with your friends, with your colleagues, and of course, while you're here, please consider subscribing and clicking that little bell to be notified of all future episodes. Today, Camille Rose is back on the show. She needs no introduction, but I'll do it anyways. A couple things to pull up right now. This is her website, theultimatelife.com. She is a peak performance coach with a focus on mindset and psychology. We're back here today actually for part 5, I can't believe it, of our 5-part series. Instagram, I'm Camille Rose, and at The Ultimate Life. All these links are below, so definitely check her out across all these places. She's also got a YouTube channel linked below. She's got a bunch of really great videos that cover, frankly, a lot of the topics that we've covered together on this show. So definitely check out. And she's got these nice sort of more bite-sized versions of these videos, which is going to be really helpful as you learn about these important topics. So again, quick recap. This is part 5, right? So the first part was success, right? So we've got that linked below. Commitment to leadership, masterful communication, defeating overwhelm and stress. That was our last episode. And today we're here to talk about how to stay focused by engaging with clarity. So important. We're bombarded by things left, right, and center. It is so hard to stay focused. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. So without further ado, Camille, welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's up, Randy? Hi, agentpreneurs. Super happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We were just talking about this. I can't believe this is part 5. We're going to have to find a new series to do. But thank you so much for giving so much of your time to all of our agentpreneurs out there. This has been really well received. Tons of likes, just great feedback and comments. In fact, Camille, I don't think I've told you this, but I've shared a lot of these episodes internally with my team as well to make sure that they watch it because it's just frankly such good information.
Yeah, absolutely. Really glad. It's a little bittersweet because, yeah, it is our last of this series, but I'm sure we'll continue to have more conversations. And I'm glad that it's helpful with your team. And I would encourage any agentpreneur who's watching this, if it's helped you, share this with somebody else that you know. Maybe it's not even a team member or colleague. Maybe it's your kids. Maybe it's your family or friends. Mindset affects all of us, obviously. So thanks for paying it forward and sharing. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Camille, for that. So today we're here, I guess speaking of it, we're here to talk about staying focused by engaging with clarity. So let's start at the highest level. What in the world does that mean?
Sure. So when folks think of focus, often I hear, well, it's about trying to deal with what I got to get done today amidst all the chaos, or what is it that I actually focus on, or I feel so distracted because everybody's needing my attention, my phone is going off, there's so many things on social media, etc. So when I think about what folks complain about or are challenged by when it comes to focus, it's typically distractions, number one, and then also a lack of understanding what they need to be focused on. So that's why I say focus comes from engaging massive clarity. You are very clear on what this day needs to be about, what this conversation needs to be about, what the purpose of this meeting is. Then it's easier to get hyper focused and prioritize that thing. So it's kind of like I'm just getting down to the very root of the problem. I'm not looking at all the other things around it. Often the root of the issue when it comes to lack of focus is lack of clarity. So the exercise that I talk about in a video I did on my own YouTube channel is taking 15 minutes, first thing in the morning, maybe before the kids are up, before you're getting to work, and just write down what is my one business priority for the day and what is my one personal priority for the day. So, for example, you might say, the biggest business priority for me today is to clean up my CRM, or to contact these 5 past clients, or to send out gifts to these clients who helped refer business to me. Maybe that's the most game-changing, needle-moving thing you can do today. It doesn't mean the other things don't get done, but what is the thing that's going to really move your business the furthest forward, right, today? And then I would also say have a personal goal. because this is not just about building the ultimate business, but really living your ultimate life. So let's not forget, maybe you have a health goal today. I really got to go out for a walk today. Or I really want to spend 30 minutes with each one of my kids and just ask how their day is. So the clearer you are on what is most important for you today, then the easier it's going to be for you to say no to anything that would steal away from that priority. So it's almost like we're reverse engineering this. We
Yeah.
need to get hyper focused on what is important to me today to live a great life, to have a successful day. Then everything else that doesn't fit into that picture, I can bat away. Then it's much easier to stay focused.
Absolutely. Camille, let me ask you a question, something that just came to mind, right? So you said something to me on a previous show that we recorded, and I hope I don't butcher this, but it stood out to me. And it was, I think it was, a strong why will get you through any how. Is that accurate? Is that the right saying?
Yeah, that's really good. I don't know if I said it, but it's awesome. I
Somebody
love
said
that.
it, and I love it, right? A strong why will get you through any how.
Mhm.
And see what I do here? I just attribute all of this great wisdom to you. I'm like, well, Camille told me the other day
Sure.
this, you know. So, but I bring it up because I'm sort of thinking about this now as like maybe a micro why. In other words, you get up and you have this like 15 minutes of time, and let's say your business priority, right? Like is it I'm just trying to simplify this. Is there a way to think about it as like my micro why? It's like my why for the day. Like what my
Mhm.
why, even though this is a what, this is a tactic, right? But this is my
Mhm.
why for the day. And
Mhm.
if that's strong, then it will get you through any how, right? Which is not only how
Mhm.
to accomplish it, but all of the other stuff that comes your way, all of that other, distractions, right? That chip away at that clarity and focus. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And in fact, there was a an all-time winning basketball coach. I believe it was a college basketball coach, and they
John
asked
Wooden?
him, "What?" Pardon?
Was it John Wooden?
No, it wasn't John Wooden. It was another
Hmm.
coach. You'll have to forgive me. I forgot his name, but he. They asked him, what is your secret to winning so many games? And naturally, he talked about well, the mindset of his players. He says that we win every day, and they asked, well, what do you mean by that? He goes, to us, winning every day is a mindset, and the acronym stands for what's important now.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
to winning, even if they actually lose the game, right? They still won if they always ask the question, well, what's important now? Meaning, what do we really need to focus on right now? What is
Yeah.
important right now? So, as an example, you and I right now having this conversation, this is the most important thing to me right now. It doesn't mean I don't have other things I've got going on in the day, but in order for me to win at this, I need to be fully present. And that's one of the issues I see with people when it comes to focus. They're not fully here. So, because they're thinking of so many other things and they're like, oh, I'm just really distracted. And the reason you're really distracted is because you don't put enough value on the person right in front of you, or the moment right in front of you, or the client right in front of you. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget a mentor of mine when he was showing me how to be a phenomenal coach. He goes, the client you are coaching right now, that is your only client.
Hmm.
And then I didn't quite get that because I said, well, no, I have like 20, 30 other clients. He goes, no, in that moment, that's the only client that matters. And you have to go all in that moment in order to be exceptional at what you do. And then I finally got it was I was an ineffective coach or an ineffective realtor or agent when I'm there with the client, but then the back of my mind is there with the contractor and then the title company and escrow, right? You have to be all in. So that is a muscle I want to encourage you to flex is what does it look like for me to just focus on what's important now? That's winning in a situation.
I really like that a lot, Camille. I'd never heard that. I'm going to have to look up who that coach is.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest with all of you listening right now. This is something that I've struggled with, right? I've said, oh, I'm a good multitasker, right? And, multitasking is kind of a fallacy, right? Because whether in a big way or a small way, you're taking away focus on something. You're diffusing that across multiple things. I think what I'm good at in hindsight now is I'm good at switching focus, right? But
Mm.
that's not the same thing as multitasking. And the lesson I had to learn is the one that you're talking about, Camille, which is trying to build the muscle of being deeply present in my activities.
Mhm.
And like you said, which I love that idea that, this is like you're my only guest on this show, right? You're the only
Mhm.
guest that matters because right now that's true. This is what matters. This is what's important now. And I like that a lot because we are so challenged, right? Because there's so many things that are vying for our attention, and if you believe, which you should believe, how a lot of the social tools that we use are frankly engineered to steal our attention, right?
Hmm.
You guys should
Yeah.
watch The Social Dilemma if you haven't already. Then you'll see that we're fighting an uphill battle, right? Because we've got massive companies that are trying their best to distract us because that's how they make money. So it's harder than it's ever been, I would argue, Camille, to do that. But these are really, really good tactics. Camille, you have an analogy of a photographer. I like these analogies because I think it makes it feel really like obvious and concrete. So
Mhm.
give your analogy of the photographer when you talk about focus and clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about professional photography, and I had the opportunity once to learn modeling photography. So I got all the nuances of focusing your lens, working on the lighting, f-stop, all that good stuff. And there's different things that you need to know when it comes to capturing a really beautiful, clear image. But one of the things that they will always ask is, well, what do you want to focus on? What is the focus of this picture? Is it just this singular product or is it all of it right now? And so, depending on what you want to focus on, then we make the proper adjustments on the lens, the lighting, et cetera, et cetera. And then often what I see people do is the opposite in their business or their life. They try to fix all the things first, but they don't even really know what they wanted to focus on from the beginning. So it's frustrating because they go to tinker with things, get a new CRM, go to social media, market here, spend money on this farming, et cetera, et cetera. And they say it doesn't produce a result. And then I ask, well, what result were you looking to produce? What was it that you really wanted to focus on? And then they're still unclear.
Yeah.
So, just like a photographer would constantly adjust the lens in order to focus and get clarity in the photo, that's why I say constantly adjusting for clarity on a daily basis, writing down your one business and one priority, one personal priority each day is a way that you can constantly adjust your lens in a sense to figure out, well, what is my vision for the day? What is my vision for the business for the week? What is my vision for the business in this quarter? And that's very important. That way, again, you can make the now real necessary adjustments. Do you really need that CRM? Do you really need to invest in that farm? Do you really need to team up with that title person or that escrow person based on your clarity of vision? But start with your clarity first versus what I see a lot of agents do. They just jump to the next shiny object that gets pitched their way. That's
That's right.
guaranteeing they're going to make money. They're going to, triple their leads. They're going to get listing appointments. And I'm not saying those things don't work. But we keep talking here, Randy. I noticed about the longevity of your business
That's
as an
right.
agentpreneur. And so a smart entrepreneur or business person looks at the long term vision or the long term game. So you know what to say yes to and what to say no to. So that's the analogy I just want to give you. Is constantly adjust for clarity, just like a photographer would. It's okay if you need to sit down every 30 minutes in the day and be like, wait, what's important right now? What am I actually taking a picture of? What is the thing I need to accomplish? Then stop and then write it down. And this is where I say there's power in the pause. You get your power back when you just stop, take a breath, get a blank sheet of paper, write it down. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But people try to just muscle through everything. And then by the time they know it, they're burnt out at the end of the day and they have no idea what they accomplished. And then they feel they have to do the same thing again tomorrow. So just pause, adjust clarity, figure out, well, what's important right now. And then let's capture that picture again. So that was kind of the analogy.
I
Hopefully
love
it
it. No, super helpful. There's there's a saying in golf, right? I grew up playing golf. I love to play golf. Don't play that much anymore, unfortunately, but I love it. And it basically says that if the face of your putter is off by 1 degree, you'll miss a 15-foot putt.
mm,
And so the point is that alignment is everything. And if it's
mhm,
off a little bit, as we know, that is compounded, right? If a ship was off by a degree when it left port, right, on a long journey,
absolutely.
goodness knows where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
So I bring that up because this point you're talking about the power in the pause. You know, I've gone through exercises with my team at List Reports, for example, and it feels like busy work. It's like, oh, we're so busy. Like, how do we have time to like talk about the why and the this and the that, right? And it
Mhm.
was like, actually, that's the most important thing you can do, because if you're not aligned, then nothing else that you do matters, and you have no confidence that you're going to end up in the right place. So I
Mhm.
really, really like that. My question for you then, and I know you gave the tip of the 15 minutes, but how do we draw a connection between this and success? So in our last episode, we talked about that, dress in your closet that causes you stress. I'll
Mhm.
be honest, Camille, I've got a box of pants in my closet that are called like Skinny Randy that I'm telling you, I'm never going to be able to fit into again. Okay. No joke. It says Skinny Randy. And I just got to throw those things out because they are not inspiring me. Right.
Mhm.
But what
That's
you
hilarious.
said was you drew a connection between that and success. You're like, you will make more money, right?
Mhm.
If you get rid of that dress. And it sounds ridiculous, but
Yeah.
I want to make this concrete, right? Building this muscle. How can all the agentpreneurs listening right now commit to this? Understand that alignment, that 15 minutes is the most important part of their day. Not a tactic, it's actually the most important part of their day.
Absolutely. Well, let's think about this in a really practical sense. Do you think a client who is going through a first time home buying process, they have saved up for 5 years, paid off debt, they're so nervous, they've never bought a home before, and they're now about to put $80,000 down on a house, take up a $2,000, $3,000 mortgage, pay homeowners insurance. So they're real nervous and they need a realtor who is either going to be very clear, confident, and concise with explaining things to them and moving them through that, or a realtor who is also really rattled and anxious and stressed and burnt out. Which experience do you think that first time home buyer or even the seasoned buyer is going to want to
That's
take
right.
on,
Yeah.
right? And so when you think about that, you getting clear, pausing, getting calm, being more confident with what it is that you do, you'll get more clients, period. Because more people will want to work with the confident and clear and calm realtor who knows what they're doing, who knows why they're doing what they're doing, and can handle the difficult situations. Okay, our offer didn't get accepted. Are you rattled by it and breaking down in front of the client? Or have you done the work where you're like, don't worry about it. I've got another way around this. Or I know the other realtor, I can talk to them. But again, all the work, the preparation that goes into you having the calm, the clarity, and the confidence
Yeah.
is through sitting down and doing the 15 minutes. The like you said, Randy, that little 1 degree shift
Yeah.
that other realtors are not going to do that makes the difference between actually hitting par or a birdie or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
um,
That works.
versus having a plus 15 on that particular round, right? So
Yeah.
it's not going to be, again, a big difference of the things you wear, the car you drive. The difference is going to be in the energy that you bring to the situation and the confidence and the clarity. But that's all going to come to you preparing ahead of time. And let's be honest, when you think about building a house, so you were talking about, Randy, about having a why and why that is really important.
Yeah.
When people don't want to look at the why or the foundation really to doing what they're doing, it's like looking to build a house without caring about building the foundation and just getting caught up. But it's like, but we got so much to do, Randy. We got to build the walls, the bedrooms, the piping, the kitchen, the marble. Let's work on all of that. But if you don't work on the foundation, I don't care how many nice things you put on top of it. When the wind blows, when an earthquake hits LA, that house is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And that's what it is for us too, right? When a tough situation like COVID comes along and you haven't laid a really strong foundation in your real estate business, you might not have the wherewithal, the tools, the resources to make shifts or pivots, and so your business just goes down. Or a tough situation comes along and you don't know how to handle it because you don't have a strong foundation. So all of us have our earthquakes in life, our proverbial natural disasters. And so the house that still stands, the business that still stands, the agentpreneur that still stands is the one that's laid a strong foundation. And that strong foundation comes from these practices that we've been talking about over the past 5 or 6 conversations.
Oh, well said, Camille. I couldn't agree more. And, that foundation speaks to longevity, right? And
Mhm.
as you mentioned, that's something that I'm really passionate about, is making sure that all of our agentpreneurs out there can build a business that is sustainable. And I'll give you an example. I just finished interviewing again Jonathan Spears. He's an amazing guy. This guy is 29 years old. This year he's going to cross $1 billion in sales, lifetime
Mm,
sales,
amazing.
$280 million in 2020 alone. Remarkable guy. But if we rewind the clock to 2020, when the pandemic kind of hit March, April time, there was a lot of fear on his team. And because he built a good foundation, Camille, he was able to say, on one hand, it's okay, don't worry, we've prepared for this. You're still going to get paid, for those who are on salary. So he gave them that assurance and that confidence to allow them to
Mhm.
focus on doing the right things. So these are the foundational items that you have to build. Now,
Mm,
I want to transition for a second here to, I think, the next logical question that comes out of this, which is,
mhm.
okay, Camille, awesome. I'm going to sit down 15 minutes a day. I understand why I need to do this now. I'm going to come up with my one business priority and my one personal priority. How do you figure out which one to pick? We've got lots of things, right? I got, Camille, I got 10 things I can choose from today alone. How do I
Mhm.
know? How do I prioritize which one is the most important?
That's a great question. And the answer to that is going to come through a lot of experience as well. So, if over time, as you see how you do this personally, you'll know the activities that generate the most ROI for you, right? Every time I do this, that's usually when the client calls back. Or when I do this, that's where I get the most leads. So, that's just going to come through historically observing what are the activities that produce the greatest results for me. And if you watched last week's podcast that we did, I talked about this book called Essentialism by
Yes.
Greg McKeown. And in that book, there's a chapter, I believe it's a chapter on discernment, chapter 3 or something, where he talks about the power. And the power law is this idea, especially in physics, that there are certain things that you can do that provide exceptionally more power or more results than other activities. And so when you're thinking about what do I prioritize, because there's so many things that could move the needle forward, the question I really want you to ask yourself is what will provide the greatest result for me today by doing this? So what activity could provide me the greatest result today? And just see what just comes up naturally for you. And you might literally have a feeling that says, hey, call this person or work on the CRM or send out that offer letter and just start practicing that. I want you to kind of tune into your own wisdom voice for a second. And that's one of the big things about coaching. When you work with a great, let's say, peak performance coach or a mindset coach, they often are not telling you what to do. They're just asking you really provocative questions, for lack of a better word, to get you to tell them what you really know to be true about your business and your style. So, for example, let's say you, Randy, you realize that whenever I meet with this particular person on my team, the ideas flow and I know exactly what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe today, the main priority is make sure I get a phone call in with this person, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's 5 minutes, because I notice when I talk to this person, I seem to just have a string of new ideas that I can run with for the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe on Tuesdays, you're like, you know what? This is the day where if I just finish this particular formula on my Excel spreadsheet, then I know, okay, I'm going to be ready and set up for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's as simple as that. What is the activity I can do today that's going to produce the biggest result? And if you really are coming up blank, you're like, I still really don't know, Camille. This is where I'm going to encourage you to enlist outside help.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you have a mentor, talk to your broker, talk to another high performing agent that you're good friends with. This is why the success squad is very important. You want to have literally people on speed dial, your wisdom council, to call on. Text real quick. You don't do this alone. This is a very much a community thing. And so for the most elite entrepreneurs that I coach and work with, they're very good at designing an environment of successful people around them because they know I can't always think my way out of the problem. But if I have a perspective partner, that's what I like to call them. Don't just think of them as accountability partner, but a perspective partner. Then that person can see my situation from a higher level because I'm not emotionally as attached as you are. So I hope that makes sense is again, if you got to flex the muscle first, but if you really can't, then get the quote unquote outside trainer to help flex that muscle for you.
No, I actually think that makes a lot of sense, Camille. You know, how do I say this? I want to make sure that people understand how to connect sort of the in the moment, day to day,
Hmm.
business priorities, personal priorities with their broader goals, right?
Hmm.
Because those two things, I don't think they can exist without the other, right?
Hmm.
Because I think you run the risk of every day sort of coming up with your business priority, and you're choosing a bunch amongst a subset of things that may or may not be aligned with your bigger strategy, right? So in my mind, one can't exist without the other. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So asking how does this micro task right now fit
Yeah.
into achieving the macro goal? Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
And that's why it's important to figure out, well, what is that macro goal? So maybe it is, this year I would like to be able to take a vacation with my family, pay off debt, and, finally have a week to myself for massages and spas or whatever your
Right.
goal is, right? Or finally get that Tesla I've always wanted. So what is it going to take for us to do that? And I would also challenge each agentpreneur, if you're listening to this right now, don't just have a material goal. It's also tell me why the Tesla, why the house, why is that important? Because often that will reveal to you the real
Yes.
goal, which
Yes.
is actually I just want to get to a place where I feel so financially successful that that will for me notify myself that okay, we've done it. And so it's actually about me proving to myself that I can achieve these things. And that's what you want. Because the material thing that you are thinking is going to symbolize it. It's not going to be enough because you'll get there, you'll get the Tesla, you'll get whatever, and the high will last for 3 months, maybe,
Yeah.
right?
Or three
And then
days for
you'll,
some people.
right. And then it's this never cycle. And I see it all the time where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now what? Now what's the next thing? And then it gets frustrating for some people. Like I was just talking to someone yesterday. She goes, all right, I got, the house, I got the new car, I got this, I got that. And now I'm like, well, what else do I need?
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, well, was it really about those things? What was it really about? And when she got super clear on that, it was like, boom, aha moment. And then she had a million other things that she realized she really wanted to do with her life. Because it was never about the things, it was actually about the woman she was becoming.
Yes.
So I know,
Yeah.
I know that can obviously feel a little deep for like everyday things that you need to do as a realtor, but that's what I mean is that's the difference maker between the massively successful agentpreneur who it's like there's something about this agent that I just got to work with them and it's that thing. The thing people can't describe about you is your conviction and your clarity for why you're doing what you're doing. That's your secret sauce that I
That's
know is
right.
going to separate you from the pack.
That's right. I love that. That's great, Camille. You know what I was looking for just a moment ago when you talked about, what'd you call it? Not your tribe, but like these people you want to surround yourself with who give
Oh,
you
your success squad.
your success squad. From our last video, an agent commented and she said, great stuff. Already changed my iPhone settings and scheduled a weekly power hour with a fabulous realtor friend in another market who always lifts me up and shares the best ideas. Cheers to growth in 2021. And I love
Awesome.
that, right? Because she found somebody that she already knows who really lifts her up, brings her energy and clarity,
Mhm.
and has great ideas. Is in another market, so to whatever degree you're thinking like about competing and all that stuff, I think most of that's nonsense. We should be collaborating, but whatever. She found somebody in another market, and they're calling it their power hour, which I like a lot. I thought that was great.
Yeah, and I love that. And this points to something, actually, a client of Facebook Live on this just last week. So shout out to Jay Harvey if he's listening to this. I thank him for reminding me of this.
Yeah.
But there's two things we're always paying attention to. There's ROI, which all of you know, return on our financial investment. But the second piece that most entrepreneurs don't even think about, and it's what causes so much burnout or resentment in their business, is because they're not paying attention to this. And it's what we call ROE, return on energy. And you also want to pay attention to the activities, the people, the places that energize you. And so thank you for reading that comment of that woman. Notice like you can kind of even hear the excitement in her voice as
Yes.
she's typing,
Right?
saying, I love talking to this person. We're even calling it a power hour because in that hour, literally there's more energy, more power. And so that's what you want to pay attention to. What are the activities in my business that actually energize me? What inspires me? Because whatever does inspire you, for some people, it's one to one conversations. For others, it's webinars. For others, it's negotiating. That's your power source. And you want to lean into that more because that's where people are so magnetically attracted to you because that's what you're really great at. Instead of trying to focus on things that you really don't like to do and you're not good at, what are the things in your business right now that energize you and inspire you? And how do we double down on those activities?
Absolutely. And Camille, just another point on that, right? For those of you watching who are brokers or team leaders, right? I I crave energy, Camille, right? If there's energy, I
Hmm.
try to create it, but I try to put myself in places where I can be a part of it, right? Because
Hmm.
energy is everything to me.
Hmm.
And the challenge, though, is that when you're in a leadership position and you're managing
Hmm.
a team, you don't have the luxury necessarily, like you different people with different needs, right? And so it's tough because sometimes when you're managing the day to day with your teams, there are sources or people on the team who maybe draw from that energy, right? Or you feel like you're giving that energy and you're not getting it in return because that's what they need. And
Yeah.
so it becomes even more important, I think, to be able to find places, find your power hour to be able to recharge. Does that make sense?
Hmm. And it points to another concept that I often teach, especially to broker owners or people who are managing teams, that there are two types of audiences or people in your life. You have needers and you have feeders. So your team, your family, people who depend on you are often your needers, your clients. So even for agentpreneurs, even if you're not, the leader of a team, your clients need you, right? So they need you, which is great. Everybody loves to feel needed, but that requires them to take energy from you. So what you have to get good at is who are the feeders in your life? Who do you design in your environment that intentionally pours into you? Because just like again, we maybe use the analogy again of a high performance vehicle. If I'm stepping on the gas, using up all my energy, but I'm not filling the gas tank, you're only going to go so far around that track.
Yeah.
So, to this woman's point, her friend, where they do their power hour, that's a feeder in her life. They feed energy into her. So maybe if you're a broker owner, you have a particular coach, mentor, friend, networking group, mastermind, where every time you speak to them, you feel re energized, excited, inspired. So that's a good sign of a feeder. But if you are a leader of a team, you better make sure you have way more feeders in your life than you do needers. Because what I see often with leaders like yourself, Randy, or broker owners, they get drained really fast. Their
Really
hearts are in the right
fast.
place, but they're running on empty. And then they say that being the CEO or the C level person, the founder, is a lonely place because typically there's no energy left.
That's right.
So your lifestyle, honestly, as a broker owner or as a leader of a team, is going to look very different than the majority of people because you have to actively find feeders, people who, the minute you leave that conversation with them, you just feel so energized. You feel pumped up. You're ready to rock. You have to design that intentionally on a weekly basis, like this woman who's doing a power hour, on a daily basis. Maybe it's just a text group that you're in, a monthly, quarterly basis. Maybe it's a mastermind you go fly to, meet up with, or on Facebook with. But have feeders in your life too, not just people who need you constantly.
I could not agree more. It resonates completely. And I've had to
Yeah.
restructure certain things in my life, right? Because of that reason, right?
Hmm.
Because you can't be in that position as a leader if you don't, like you said, have these feeders, right? So that you can bring
Yeah.
that energy, you can have the ideas, all of that stuff. Anyways, makes perfect sense, Camille. I love that.
Yeah.
Gosh, as usual, right? 32 minutes has already gone by. I
Oh,
can't
wow.
believe it. Yeah, I feel like we just started talking. But
Yeah.
that's what's so beautiful about having you on the show, and I love talking
Mm.
to you about this stuff. Is there maybe we just put a nice little bow on this package, right? Right. Today we're
Mhm.
talking about clarity, we're talking about focus. What are sort of your parting words of wisdom for our agentpreneurs out there?
Absolutely. And it goes in line with what I said last week, which is work with a community, get a success squad, work with a coach or a mentor that helps you to get clarity. That's the fastest way to start flexing this muscle. Because if you're not used to sitting down, asking yourself the tough questions and writing down your ideas, it can feel overwhelming. It's almost like we went in the opposite direction. It's like now that I'm sitting down by myself thinking, I'm more overwhelmed than if I just kept working. At least when I'm working, I know what to do. So that's why I would say engage in a community, a mastermind group, find a coach because they can at least help you start templating the process of asking certain questions. And that's why when I'm coaching somebody, I'm asking them the questions that they'll often reply with, huh, I never thought of that before. And then after that session, now they ask themselves that question. So they've got
Yeah.
it in their toolbox that it's like, okay, this is a question I can ask because I learned it from a professional or I learned it from somebody who's a mentor to me and has been in real estate for 20 years. And so really it's about asking, excuse me, better questions.
Yeah.
And if there's any last book I could recommend, I know I like recommending books. I
I
like to
love it.
read. And I may have mentioned it in another podcast, but I'll just say it again. It's called Change Your Questions, Change Your Life.
You know, where you mentioned it was with my team. And I
Oh,
actually
cool.
sent that book to a number of people requested it. So there
Oh,
are
cool.
multiple people on my team who are reading that book right now. But please elaborate on what that book is about.
Thank you. Okay, thanks for clarifying. So, for you agentpreneurs listening to the podcast, check out Change Your Questions, Change Your Life by Dr. Marilee Adams. And she basically helps leaders, coaches have better tools on asking great questions. Because when you think about it, often we want these awesome answers. What is the answer to this? How do we figure this out? But then we ask a poor question. So, naturally, if you ask a poor question, you're going to get a poor answer. So this book helps guide you, ask the better question. So maybe the question you've been asking is okay, like, what do I do today? But then the better question is, what would be an activity that could exponentially produce a great result for me today?
Yes.
Notice how just changing the question is now going to change the way I think about the answer. So that could be a great way to introduce yourself to flexing the muscle of asking better questions during a clarity session. And the last thing I'll say is the tool in there that is so valuable. Please make a note of this if you've never read it. It's called the choice map. And in the choice map, she talks about being a learner versus a judger. I won't go too much into it, but just note that if you decide to get the book and asking yourself, am I choosing to be a learner about situations in my business and my life? Or am I choosing to be a judger? And often, if you're not actively and intentionally designing great questions, you're falling into the default of judger mode. And that leads us to very poor results. So I would say check out that book or get into a live mastermind. If you're a social person, if you need community, find that. I mean, obviously, you could reach out to me here. It doesn't have to be me as a coach, but coaching can be a really phenomenal way to accelerate the transformation process. Just find somebody that you resonate with. And I got to say that that's been one of the greatest investments I've ever made in myself personally.
It's great, Camille. And yeah, you should reach out to Camille because she's an amazing coach. So just for what it's worth.
Thank you.
Camille, thank you again for giving
Mm-hmm.
so much of your time for all of our agentpreneurs out there. I can't tell you how much, on their behalf, we appreciate you doing this and for
Mm-hmm.
sharing all of these thoughts and wisdom. It's just incredible. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's been my honor, and I'm sure it won't be the last time we all see each other. But definitely connect with me, so you can stay up to date with anything that I do. And Randy, you're stuck with me now as a friend for life. So
I am
yeah,
happily stuck with you.
awesome,
So
awesome, dude.
absolutely. All right, Camille, we're going to see you again real soon. I promise. We're going to come back on for another series. It's going to be great. Bye, Camille.
Bye bye. Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is part 5 of the 5-part series. If you missed any of the other parts, please go back. They're all linked below. Check them out. There's great stuff here. And as Camille said, this isn't just great content for your colleagues or your business. I've shared these with my team members at the company. I've shared them with family, with friends. This is just really good stuff for life in general. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for being here. Until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy. Act with clarity, confidence, be concise. There's so many things from this, but this commitment to clarity I think is really important. But make sure you understand your bigger why in the process. That's it for today. We'll see you real soon. Thank you.